Everything regarding Rob Reiner's death is altered by tragic new information. On March 6, 1947, Rob Reiner was born in New York City. A career in show industry was all but inevitable for him. He was raised in a home that valued creativity, humor, and astute social observation. He is the son of renowned comedian, actor, writer, and director Carl Reiner and actress Estelle Reiner. Reiner was exposed to the rhythms of comedy and narrative from a young age, not as an abstract art form but rather as a dynamic, high-level skill. As Michael Meathead Stevick on the trailblazing television sitcom All in the Family, Reiner first gained widespread recognition as an actor in the 1970s. The series, which ran from 1971 to 1979, was groundbreaking because it was not afraid to take on contentious social and political problems head-on. Reiner's character offered a liberal alternative to Archie Bunker's conservative outlook. Reiner contributed to making Meathead one of the most enduring characters in television history with his sincere idealism, frequent outrage, and comedic timing. In addition to earning him several Emmy Awards, the part solidified his reputation as a talented comedian and an actor who isn't scared to take on difficult roles. Reflecting the arguments, conflicts, and hopes of the time, Reiner came to represent a generational change in American society for many viewers. However, Rob Reiner's greatest legacy would ultimately be defined behind the camera. He showed a remarkable variety and an almost ethereal knack for narrative when he switched from acting to directing in the 1980s. Co-written with Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, and Harry Shearer, his directorial debut This Is Spinal Tap, 1984, went on to become one of the most acclaimed comedies ever. The film, which was presented as a mockumentary about a fictional British rock band, was witty and sharply critical, mocking the excesses of rock culture while lovingly applauding its ridiculousness. This Spinal Tap has evolved over time from being a cult favorite to a cultural icon that has influenced comedians, filmmakers, and even the vocabulary of popular culture. One of the most impressive directing runs in contemporary Hollywood ensued. Reiner demonstrated that he was not limited to comedy and could excel in almost any genre. His 1985 romantic comedy, The Sure Thing, was witty and poignant. The 1986 novel Stand By Me, which was adapted from a Stephen King novella, demonstrated his talent for capturing the emotional reality of youth by skillfully fusing humor, quiet grief, and nostalgia into a timeless tale of coming of age. The movie struck a profound chord with both viewers and critics, solidifying Reiner's standing as a director of extraordinary sensitivity and understanding. With The Princess Bride, 1987, a film that defied simple classification by fusing fantasy, romance, adventure, and comedy into a single, endlessly quotable classic, he carried on this remarkable run. Despite having a mediocre opening reception at the box office, it went on to become one of the most revered films ever made, appreciated by all ages for its warmth, humor, and sincerity. The film was able to honor the timeless force of fairy tales while also parodying them thanks to Reiner's direction, which found the ideal balance between irony and real passion. When Harry Met Sally, 1989, which is considered one of the best romantic comedies ever produced, was another example of Reiner's flexibility. With classic performances and a screenplay by Nora Ephron, the picture humorously and honestly examined love, friendship, and the intricacies of contemporary relationships. It had a significant impact on the genre and established a benchmark that filmmakers still follow today, decades later. Reiner demonstrated his ability to create compelling suspense and elicit strong performances in his next film, Misery, 1990, a taut psychological thriller that won Kathy Bates an Academy Award for Best Actress. As he directed films like A Few Good Men, 1992, a courtroom drama that fused moral complexity with incisive dialogue, and The American President, 1995, which combined romance and political idealism, Reiner continued to experiment with a variety of topics and approaches throughout the 1990s. Reiner's dedication to character-driven narrative and emotional clarity persisted despite the conflicting reviews his latter films garnered. Reiner stated in June 2021 that he was developing a television series that will span 10 to 13 episodes and focus on the relationship between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. He stated that the project will encompass the leaders' early years until their lives intersected. Reiner stated that he is collaborating on the project, which he is naming The Spy and the Asset, with writer Ward Perry. Hollywood's creative circles have long been entwined with Rob Reiner's personal life, and his marriages in particular show the development of his work as a director as well as his emotional journey. In 1971, Rob Reiner wed actress, producer, and director Penny Marshall, both of whom were becoming well-known in comedy and television. Their bond developed from a common sensibility influenced by performance, comedy, and a thorough knowledge of the entertainment business. While Reiner was gaining recognition for his portrayal as Michael, Meathead, Stivic in All in the Family, Marshall was already establishing herself as a performer and would go on to become one of Hollywood's most successful female filmmakers. Their union, which was founded on respect for one another and a common work ethic, represented a creative collaboration as much as a romantic one. Tracy Reiner, Marshall's daughter from her prior marriage to actor Michael Henry, was adopted by Reiner during their union. Reiner demonstrated his unwavering dedication to parenting by formally adopting Tracy and accepting the duties of raising a child as his own. Later, Tracy would carry on the family heritage by becoming an actress and starring in films like her mother's A League of Their Own. As Tracy's adoptive father, Reiner demonstrated his conviction that love and duty, rather than just biology, define a family. And even after his marriage to Marshall ended, he continued to be a pillar of support in her life. Despite spending many happy years together, Reiner and Marshall eventually suffered from personal conflicts and the demands of demanding careers. After 10 years of marriage, the pair got divorced in 1981. Even when their love affair ended, they remained respectful of one another and spoke well of each other in later years. For each of them, their divorce was a turning point. Marshall would go on to helm some of the most popular comedies of the 1980s and 1990s, while Reiner made a more complete shift into directing and quickly became one of Hollywood's most accomplished and varied directors. Several years later, while producing one of his career's most iconic romantic comedies, When Harry Met Sally, Reiner started a major new chapter in his personal life. Reiner met photographer Michelle Singer while he was directing the movie. Reiner was adjusting to life after divorce at the time. Additionally, his discussions with Singer had a significant impact on his artistic choices as well as his emotional perspective. Reiner's choice to change the film's finale is said to have been influenced by their conversations about love, relationships, and commitment. Reiner decided to give the story a positive, uplifting ending that reflected his own rediscovered faith in enduring love rather than leaving the characters in emotional limbo. Beyond professional or philosophical impact, Reiner and Singer's bond grew into a passionate romantic partnership. They got married in 1989, starting what would turn out to be Reiner's longest-lasting relationship. Reiner married Singer as he matured as a man and an artist, in contrast to his first marriage, which took place in the early years of his success. There was stability in their relationship. Mutual assistance and a common emphasis on family life, notwithstanding Reiner's ongoing directing of big-budget films. Reiner and Singer reared 3 kids together. 1991 saw the birth of their oldest son, Jake Reiner, 1993 saw the birth of Nick Reiner, and 1997 saw the birth of their daughter, Romy Reiner. During these years, fatherhood was a major part of Reiner's life, helping to keep him grounded amidst the demands of Hollywood. And influencing his views on accountability, relationships, and storytelling. He has frequently discussed how having children increased his emotional intelligence and reaffirmed the principles of empathy and connection that permeate many of his works. Many people view Reiner's marriage to Michelle Singer as a source of emotional equilibrium and personal fulfillment. Their enduring bond contrasts with the turbulence frequently seen in celebrity marriages. Showcasing Reiner's transformation from a budding TV personality to an accomplished filmmaker and devoted father. Together, Rob Reiner's early marriage to Penny Marshall and his long-term involvement with Michelle Singer make up a significant portion of his life narrative. Reflecting his development as a person as well as the events that had a subtle but significant impact on his work as a director. A welfare check request at a well-known private property prompted the Los Angeles Fire Department to send emergency personnel to a peaceful, tree-lined street in the affluent Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles on the morning of December 14, 2025. The residence, which has long been connected to actor and director Rob Reiner and his spouse Michelle Singer, had apparently been unusually quiet for a few days. There was no observable activity, no answer to calls, and no reaction when close associates repeatedly tried to get in touch. First responders made a somber discovery upon entering. Authorities discovered 2 dead people inside the house, a 68-year-old woman and a 78-year-old man. In accordance with usual procedure, officials purposefully kept the deceased's identity secret at the time of the initial report while notifying their next of kin and conducting initial assessments. The department's initial statement, which just provided the ages and confirmed that there were no obvious indications of forced entry from the outside of the house, was succinct and clinical. The Hollywood business and Los Angeles quickly became aware of the discovery. Driven by worry and conjecture, Rob Reiner, a well-known director, producer, and actor with a career spanning over 50 years, and his wife Michelle Singer, a photographer and activist who had mostly stayed out of the public eye, were officially identified as the deceased within hours after law enforcement finished preliminary identification procedures. The announcement shocked Hollywood, where Reiner was revered by generations of artists as well as a creative force behind iconic films. The circumstances surrounding the killings became more sinister as detectives started looking into the scene more thoroughly. According to reports, authorities concluded that both victims had died from stab wounds, indicating a violent confrontation as opposed to unintentional or natural causes. Law enforcement secured the property as a possible crime scene and began a thorough forensic examination of the residence as soon as the finding changed the course of the investigation. Sources close to the inquiry told entertainment news outlets like TMZ that the deaths were being investigated as suspected homicides. According to reports, investigators were looking into a number of possibilities, such as whether the incident involved a personal conflict, a deliberate attack, or an unidentified intruder who might have gained entrance to the house. The case was only made more complex by the lack of an immediate suspect, which sparked considerable media attention and a lot of public conjecture. Even as the investigation progressed, tributes started to come in this timeline. Actors, political leaders, and other filmmakers expressed shock and sadness. Considering Reiner's lasting influence, from his early success on All in the Family as meathead to his critically praised directing of films like When Harry Met Sally, Stand By Me, and The Princess Bride. Known for her quiet fortitude and family commitment, acquaintances recalled Michelle Singer as a reassuring influence in Reiner's later years. The case was still being investigated. Authorities stressed the need for patience while timelines were rebuilt and evidence was examined. The previously tranquil Brentwood residence, long a representation of artistic achievement and family stability, was at the epicenter of a developing tragedy that cast a long shadow over Hollywood and rekindled discussions about privacy, safety, and the hidden weaknesses of even the most well-known public people.